Hi everybody, Lydia here with Build Show Network, and this week we're going to talk all about hot mud. So it's actually easy sand. We all just call it hot mud. It does start a chemical reaction and the mud can get warm. It's not going to burn you. It doesn't get like hot, but it's just kind of like an industry nickname. So if you hear somebody talking about hot mud, I'm going to be talking about easy sand. So this is USG Sheetrock brand Easy Sand. So Easy Sand is a chemical set product. It's a powder in here, and you add the powder to water, and then it starts a chemical reaction and then sets the mud. So being a chemical reaction, you do need to be switching these out pretty frequently. These do not have an infinite shelf life. There are organic properties to these, and you need to be making sure you're not using hot mud that's like 3 years old. It just won't work. So I believe the shelf life on these is about 6 months to a year, and you really need to keep them dry. So when we're not using these, they get sealed up tight. We make sure no moisture is getting in here, and we're keeping it off of anything wet, because what happens if you set this in like a pile of water, it actually will set all of the product in the bag once it comes into contact with water. This does come in a lot of different minutes. You can get as low as 5, and it goes as high as 210 minutes. 20 is really popular. 45 is also a great one. We use a lot of 45, 90-minute too. You can mix these by the pan, or you can mix them in a bucket. It just depends. But what's really important to remember with these and with these Easy Sand products is you need to be cleaning everything entirely. So if I'm going to mix up a bucket with this, I am going to work through my bucket before it sets. If it sets and you have a bunch of set mud in your bucket, and your bucket is just going to be trash. So it's important that you're not mixing up more than you can get through. And then after I mix, I'm going to take clean water and I'm going to wash off my mixer, my beater bar. I'm going to wash my pans and my knives that I've been using with this product. It is not advised, and I would not use this in any automatic tools. If you fill up a tube with this and the tube's done, like there's going to be no way to get that out of that automatic taper. There are certain boxes that do run hot mud. I believe they are made by Tape Tech. They are hot mud boxes. They're like a plastic kind of a box. You can put that in there. I just don't, this shouldn't be used farther than a top coat. So where this really shines is if you're doing multiple coats in a day. So you could come in, you could do paper or mesh tape with this product. Mesh tape only, which can only go with Easy Sand. No mesh tape with +3 or any kind of taping or natural dry mud. Mesh only goes with Easy Sand. But Easy Sand can go with mesh or paper, either one. But where it really shines is you can come in and, say you have a small job or you've got a room, you can go ahead, you can tape with this, it's going to dry, and then you can turn around and top it and then skim it after this is dry. And when I'm skimming, I'm using +3 or a soft mud. I'm not going to be skimming with this mud. It does set pretty hard. It's great for filling. So like if we are doing our pre-fill, we use Easy Sand. If there's broken boxes, large gaps, we're using Easy Sand to fill that because it's not as soft as +3 or any of those other muds. Do not mix this with any natural drying mud. So I'm talking like don't take this and add it to +3 to make the +3 set faster. Don't add it to taping muds. It needs to be alone, because this is a chemical set mud, and those muds are all air dry muds by releasing moisture. This isn't releasing moisture. This is just a straight up chemical reaction that's setting this mud. So mixing those two together will cause failures, will cause bond issues, will cause cracking, and all sorts of like a plethora of problems. So keep them separate. This stays with this, +3, taping muds, all those things stay by themselves and don't get mixed to this. So the Easy Sand here, this minute right here, it says 20. That's how much working time I have to use this product. So it says Easy Sand 20, which means I have 20 minutes of working time. And then it'll actually say right here on the back. So my working time is 20, and then my setting time is 25 to 35 minutes. So when we're looking at using this product, we want to make sure we're using nice clean water. If you are trying to speed up the process, you can use hot water. Hot water will make this set faster. I've also found we use these big water jugs during the winter, and they'll get ice in them. And if I use like ice water, it also makes it set very quick. So keep that in mind when you're working with these. You can kind of mess around with the setting times a little bit depending on how hot or how cold your water is. It will speed up the chemical reaction. But easy sand, and then whatever that number is there is how much working time you have with the mud. So let's go ahead and mix them up, and I'll show you what it looks like. So first things first, I have nice clean water. Some people like to do water first. Some people like mud first. It really doesn't matter. If I'm down to the bottom of a bag, I'll do mud first or powder first, because I don't want to have too much water and then have too thin of a mixture. Now what's nice about the easy sand and the powder is you can get this as thick or as thin as you'd like it. If you want a real thin mud, do a lot of water and not so much powder. If you want it to be really thick for filling and for pre-filling and for jamming into large holes or repairs, go thicker. So what you do is you just grab this. We always just make a hole, a little hole like that. And then you just shake your powder into your water. And now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to grab my knife. Add a little bit more. Now you can add a little bit more powder or a little bit more water depending on where you get it. It really depends on how you want your mix. Some people love to use pan mixers for this. It's a great option. I usually just whip up a pan really quick by hand. So this is pretty thick, as you can tell. I would use this for pre-filling, I would use this for packing our tubs, and I would use it for patching like a large blown out area, because when it's thicker like this, it's easier, it's not going to be falling out of the hole, and it'll stay in there like it needs to. Now, if I'm going to be topping with this, I'm going to go quite a bit thinner. I would add a lot more water to this and have it a more workable consistency. This is definitely like a pretty thick, and then you can actually even add you can add more water to this mix and then get it all mixed up again. So you can kind of have some like play with it. You don't want to be sitting here messing around with your formula for 20 minutes and have it set on you. So you do kind of need to be a little quick with it, especially depending on your mixture. All right, there we go. So here's a little bit thinner. All depends on what you're doing. Sometimes it is a little lumpy. For the most part, this is just used for pre-fill, and you're never going to see this mud again. So it's okay if it's a little lumpy. I haven't found the lumps to hurt anything. One thing that will happen is if you are working with this and it sets off in your pan, it will just like set up as like a big dry hunk. So like say I left this in my pan and I came back the next day, or I came back, an hour or two later, it would just literally be like a big chunk of dry, hard mud. So don't freak out. It's not a big deal. We've all had it happen. Just bang your pan real hard. Most of the time it falls right out, and then you can clean up your pan and just scrape all that excess mud out. But one thing I do try to do is get through it before it sets, and then clean my pan out, and then I give it a quick wash with a brush so that any residue or any leftover chemicals are out of the pan and out of my knife, and I'm not having any residue going on with the hot mud or the easy sand in my other setting muds. So that's about it for good old hot mud or easy sand. You can find this pretty much everywhere. Lots of different numbers. You can go all the way from 5 to 210. They also come in little bags, which is great for patches. So you can get like bags that are about yay big, and then just kind of mix up small batches like that too. But that's Easy Sand 20, or Easy Sand in a nutshell. You guys can catch me on all my socials: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube under Drywall Shorty. And then I will see you guys next week for a brand new episode all about drywall.